Hey everyone, I'm Deanna from MacArthur Public Library, and today I'm going to show you how to make the world's best gingerbread. This is no joke, it is the best. I went to Ireland, I had this gingerbread, and it absolutely knocked my socks off, and I was on a mission. When I came home, I tried so many different recipes, and I finally hit it. And the secret ingredient, and I should have known this, is Guinness. So Guinness gingerbread. So the first thing I'm going to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees. And I make this in a bundt pan. It's perfect for a 10 or 12 inch bundt pan. And the secret here, because sometimes you bake cake and you try to get it out of the pan and it doesn't release well. And anyway, what you're going to do is you're going to use, this is the first secret I'm going to teach you, is the baking cooking spray. So it has flour already in it. So when you spray your pan, usually, when you grease your pan, you do shortening and then flour. This saves that step, and it is miraculous. So we're going to do that, and then we are going to boil 1 cup of molasses with 1 cup of Guinness. And I'm going to show you that step in just a minute. So you put 1 cup of molasses and 1 cup of Guinness in a saucepan, and you're going to heat this up, stir it up good, heat it up until it boils. So we're almost at a boil now. So the first time that I made this recipe, I was following the exact instructions, and I did this, and I'm not going to lie to you, it does not smell really great. And I almost abandoned the project because I really did not love the smell. But I'm glad that I persevered because this is, as advertised, the world's best gingerbread. So we're almost to a boil here. So once it comes to a full rolling boil, we're going to turn the heat off, and then we're going to add some baking soda. So I'm just going to give this a second here to really come to a full boil. Again, this is just the molasses and the Guinness. Okay, so we are good here. So this is boiling. So you're going to watch. So then you're going to add the baking soda, and you're going to have your whisk ready because this is going to really foam up when you add the baking soda, and then you're going to want to whisk it. Okay, so you can see this foaming up, really foamed up. It's like a nice, kind of looks like when you make whipped cream. And again, not loving the smell. Oops, falling over. So that's that step. Okay. So now you're going to take your molasses boiled mixture, and you're just going to set this aside and let it cool. Okay, so oven's preheating, pan is greased, and we're setting aside our Guinness molasses and baking soda mixture to cool. And then you're going to prepare your wet ingredients. So it's 3 eggs. I've already beat them up a little bit here. 1 cup of granulated sugar and 1 cup of brown sugar. And we're going to mix that well. And then in another bowl, we're going to do 2 cups of flour and the rest of our spices. So this is gingerbread, so it's got a lot of ginger in it. It's about 2 tablespoons of ginger. You want to be really generous with that. And we also have cinnamon and nutmeg and cloves in here. And I didn't have cardamom, even though the recipe that I'm using calls for it. But it's just a pinch. I don't ever miss it. And baking powder. So you're going to put that in there. So I don't want to torture you with all the mixing because it takes a minute. But what you're going to do is mix this really well. You're going to cream this all together. And the oil. So it's 3/4 of a cup of oil. So you put both sugars, the oil, and the eggs together, mix that up, and then just combine your dry ingredients. And then we'll get to the next step. Okay, so now I have my sugars, my eggs, and my oil all combined, and all my dry ingredients. And then you take your molasses, Guinness, and baking soda mixture. It needs to be cool to room temperature, so I just stuck my finger in there, and it is room temperature. So you're going to add this into your wet ingredients. Get all that goodness out of there. And then just going to whisk this in. And then once you get this all mixed up, you're going to add your dry ingredients. I do it gradually. And you don't want to over mix when you put your flour into the wet mixture. You're just going to mix it until it's combined. Otherwise, if you over mix it, your gingerbread is going to have a tough consistency. So we want to just gently fold that in there and combine it just until, you don't want to do what I'm doing now, as an example. You don't want to keep stirring it. You're just going to just give it a baby stir. All right, so I'm going to combine these. I'm going to put it in my pan. Once you have it in your pan, this is really important. You want to really give it a good smack on the counter. That gets all the air bubbles. Sorry, I'm talking to you and you can't see me. That gets all the air bubbles out of the mixture. And you come out with a really nice texture at the end. So then you're going to put your whole thing in the oven. It bakes, again, at 350. And for about 50 minutes, 50 minutes. And if you have a cake tester, I usually check it at about 40 minutes, just to be sure, because you don't want to overbake it. But you're going to take your cake tester, put it in, and when that comes out clean, if there's any crumbs stuck to it, you could use, if you don't have a cake tester, you can use a butter knife, just straight down in and out. And if it's clean, it's done. If not, put it back in and then test it, every few minutes until it is done. Then I put it on a cooling rack like you would for cookies. I put this whole thing on the cooling rack. After it's cool enough that you can touch your pan, put a cooling rack on top of it, flip it over, and then you just kind of work it out. And there will be your lovely gingerbread. And I will show you that finished product in about 50 minutes. I wish you could be here to smell my kitchen right now. It smells amazing in here. So my pan is cooled off enough so that I can touch it. It's very warm, but not hot. So I'm able to handle this with my bare hands. So a trick is to take a butter knife and tip you down to see. Just kind of run this along the inside of your pan. That's just, sometimes if it's going to want to stick, this is just enough to sort of help it release from the pan a little easier. And it's nothing fancy. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here, but I'm just sliding, maybe if I do it up here, I'm just sliding the knife in between the cake and the pan. So I don't remember where I didn't do now. And then just along the top and the middle. You don't want to go too deep, but just in case there's little puppies that want to make it. Or I'm going to do this quick because you don't want to listen to my dog bark. So I'm going to take my cooling rack. I'm going to put it over the pan. And this is why you don't want your pan to be hot. It's sort of like acrobatics here. And then, for the moment of truth, kind of shake it a little. And you can feel when it lets go. Look at that. It's beautiful, right? So you can serve this just the way it is. I like to, after it cools, do a little dusting of confectionery sugar. Slice it up, and it's great with a dollop of homemade whipped cream. And when I do whipped cream for this, I find it complements it in a nicer way if your whipped cream is not super sweet. So I usually use confectioner's sugar with my whipping cream, and I don't use as much as I would when I'm making it for something else. So that's about it. So I hope you enjoy this gingerbread as much as I do, and feel free to reach out with any questions or comments. Thanks so much for watching. Have a happy holiday.